Hello everyone, my name is Arun and welcome to my channel. In this video we'll have a sneak peek tour of the new Linux distribution Ubuntu Budgie 17.04. Now the Ubuntu Budgie 17.04 from this version onwards is an officially supported flavor of the Ubuntu family. Now Ubuntu is actually a very common and it's a very popular Linux distribution, and every year when it's in both of its releases, one in April and another one in October, it gets released with several flavors. The de facto one, which used to be, is actually the Ubuntu version with the Unity desktop. The other officially supported flavors are Kubuntu, which uses KDE desktop environment, Ubuntu LXD, which uses the LXD desktop environment, and other versions like Ubuntu GNOME, Chillin, Ubuntu Mate, Ubuntu Studio, and Xubuntu or Xubuntu. Now Ubuntu Budgie also now becomes an official part of the family, and prior to being called as Ubuntu Budgie, this operating system was running under the name Budige-Remix. This is actually, just like the other flavors, it's actually a spin-off of the Ubuntu distribution, wherein the actual core part of the Ubuntu operating system was taken, and on top of it the Budgie desktop was integrated into it along with its softwares and other features. Now Budgie desktop itself has its origins from the Solus project, which is actually an interesting independent Linux project wherein and the operating system was the entire project was based on writing an operating system from scratch just by using the Linux kernel, and that nothing more. So that is pretty interesting. So Budgie came as desktop for the Solus end project, and afterwards some people started liked it, and they started using it in the other operating systems. For instance, you have Budgie supported for some flavors of Arch, and there's you also have one version available for the Gecko Linux distribution. There's one community edition of Manjaro available with which has Budgie in it, and also right now Ubuntu has one, and that's Ubuntu Budgie. Budgie desktop itself uses a lot of GNOME's technology under the hood, and it's very integratable with the GTK applications. But nevertheless, it's this desktop is pretty independent and is working pretty well, and it's aesthetically nice. And it has a lot of few inspirations from the GNOME before it became GNOME 3, and it retains. It has a lot of features that is kind of similar to how a GNOME 3 desktop looks like, at the same time how a GNOME 2 desktop looks like. So it's kind of like a hybrid match at the same time having more features that the Solus project wanted initially. Nevertheless, let's have a look. So if I start my Ubuntu Budgie, I'll be getting this welcome screen over here. And this logo over here is animatable, in the sense after some time we just keep it as it is. This will just revolve, and it's pretty cool. And this welcome screen is pretty simple, nothing too complicated. You have the option to show this on the startup or not. You have an option to decide it over here, and you have a link to the software center default settings. And in the default settings, you can actually go and look at change the stuff like the theming, like the arc design theme, and it's also have the materials theme. My internet is actually not working inside this virtual box, so I cannot install them and run it, but nevertheless you have an idea. You can actually go inside and switch these, and these themes are pretty neat as well. And you also have the option to go and reset the Budgie panel, like these you can go and change this. And in this panel over here, you have an option to you have links to what the introduction about what Budgie desktop is, what Ubuntu Budgie is and the Budgie desktop is, and you can read through all of it, and it gives you all the information that you need to start with. And other than this introduction, you have the features column, wherein all the what are the power advantages and disadvantages, mostly not the disadvantages, mostly the advantages, and how is it different from other distributions are being maintained over here. And they just go on and on. You can just go have a read through, and if you want to get started, click this up, and it will tell you like details like how to upgrade, how to do some upgrades, and check for upgrades, what can be done for the restricted areas, and if you want to have drivers installed or language input and familiarity and optional tasks, if you want any of these information, you can just go and click them. Automatically it will help you, automatically just show you all the information that you might require, and this is pretty good. This is pretty good, and it's considerably good for beginners who just want to get get an idea of what's happening. And also you have the links for the chat room, the community, and you can also get involved in the community, and you can also there's a link for giving donations. You also can share this bottom, that's not that interesting, that's not that important. And you also have a link for the software center, which is similar to the Ubuntu's software center, through which you can install all the softwares you want, which we'll talk about this in later. So this is about the welcome screen. This is actually pretty good and actually pretty neat to be honest. Now you have this dock on the left hand side, which has a few few programs set in by default. You have to start with, let's look at the file manager first. And the advantage of this file manager is that it's not pretty different. It's very similar to the file manager that we have in Ubuntu, and it's very similar to the Nautilus file manager you have in GNOME. One advantage which I've noticed over here with respect to GNOME is that all the controls are pretty consistently placed. For instance, you have some of the controls over here, all of them in the same bar, and you have the controls over here and over here. This is pretty good. And if I open certain programs, the control features are also similar. For instance, if I open okay, let me open gedit. Do I have gedit here? Yes, I have text editor, which is actually gedit. And if I open this up, and if I expand this, all the controls and features are actually present in just within this application itself. The controls are not distributed between the local one and as well as the global one. The reason why I'm emphasizing on this is because if you're used to the newer versions of the GNOME the Linux distribution, which has the GNOME desktop, you will notice that some of this some of the power features and the commands and the controls are actually present in the locally, and also some of them are distributed in the global application over here, which is quite annoying for many users. The people get a lot of GNOME desktop gets quite a lot of some backlash and some annoyance because of this from the users. Anyway, moving on further, after this welcome screen and the controls being proper, you have a nice application searcher over here. So if I just click Windows, the Windows key or the Meta key or the Super key, you get this application launcher over here. This is like an application searcher. All the softwares are actually categorized into different. Basic. It's actually categorized pretty well, and that's pretty nice. And at the same time, you can also search them. For instance, if I want to open, let's say, LibreOffice Math, I just have to type a few keystrokes and it automatically searches. The search is pretty slick and pretty fast. Within a few strokes it's able to get, but you'll not be able to get you'll not be able to search for documents. That's okay. This was actually meant to be a file search, program searcher. And let's look at the programs that are installed over here. On accessories, you have an application to share and manage books. The text editor, which is actually gedit, if I understand right. I didn't check it properly. Let's look at about. Yeah, it is gedit. Perfect. And what else do we have here? You have a few games and accessories. You have a calculator. You have a documents. I think this should be, if I understand right, this should be events. I think this is events. Do I have an option over here? No, I think this is something different. I haven't checked this before. Nevertheless, moving on. You have files. You have a map application as well. A menu editor. Nice. You have an option for the weather too. Interesting. A few games installed, not that interesting enough, but that's okay. You have a simple scan application. You have an application to scan through your photos, and you have the LibreOffice Draw. it is set by default. And on the internet you have the Gary mail to be the mail email client, and you have Chrome web browser as the default web browser. This particular choice is actually a little bit different, because usually if you take any Linux distribution, by default many of them by default have the Thunderbird, Mozilla Thunderbird as the mail viewer, email client, and Mozilla Firefox to be the web browser. This choice is a bit different, especially for Ubuntu, because in almost all the Ubuntu distributions it's Firefox and Thunderbird. Gary and web browser and Chromium, not much. That's interesting. Anyway, if you look at the Office, you have almost a full suite LibreOffice, and then you have a calendar application too, and in the Science you don't just have LibreOffice Math, nothing much. And for sounds and videos, you just have a GNOME MPV player and a Rhythmbox music player. This one for the videos and this one for the audio. And you have some system tools, namely Budgie welcome screen, power statistics, software, and two external UX terminals for supporting other applications. And in administration, you have software updater and diagnostic repair tool. And preferences, you have the option for settings, the disk management tool, an input method tool, and a menu editor, software updates, and startup applications. And as far as utilities is concerned, there are quite a lot. Like for instance, the basic terminal option is the Terminix application. This is the default terminal. And I think if I type Ctrl-Alt-T, will the terminal pop up? Yes, it does. So instead of using terminal, GNOME terminal uses Terminix. And and this is instantly attracting for me, because I can create multiple terminals over here, and I can just, if I understand right, I can just swap through them. See that? I can actually jump between the multiple terminals if I want over here. And not only that, these have multiple sessions. You can close them up. And I can add a terminal to the right and add a terminal to the bottom, and I can actually tile the terminals up just like this. Not bad, huh? And this is actually pretty nice. This is pretty nice, and reminds me of how the Terminator terminal emulator looks like. This is pretty cool. And also you have the option to search for something in these options. Other than that, you have an option to save the files and stuff. This is pretty nice. And as far as the terminal is concerned, this is pretty good. Although I don't like the white background, but it's okay. I guess you can, with the theme, you can change the colors. They're not a big complaint about that. And this side dock over here, it has the feature to automatically hide. So if I just keep my cursor nearby, it may not pop up, but the moment I minimize the applications, it will pop up, and all the minimized applications will come over here. And what else? I have the status bar on the top, and which has this application launcher, which we just saw just now. And you have this time in the middle, and you have if you click this time, I can go and I can open up my date and time settings. I can set them up, and also I have the option to look at my calendar. With this, I can launch my calendar. Now with the new Linux distributions, we have the week view, month view, and the year view. Earlier we just had the year view and the month view. Now we have this week view as well. And on the right top right corner, you have the notification option, notification icons, wherein you have a notification for the internet. Although it says it's connected, it's not. Actually, there's some problem. And you have the places option, wherein you can jump between the different frequently used accessible regions. And you have the applets notification, wherein on clicking it, you'll open up this Raven this Raven menu, a Raven notification, wherein you'll get all the notifications coming up over here. And this is pretty cool. One thing interesting, because like if I were to open up my rhythm box over here, okay, if I were to play any songs or play some videos or something like that, in the notification, this icon will come up over here. I can close this, and the moment I close this vanishes away. But if I open it up, whatever I'm playing over here, it will come over here, and I can have that with the controls too. Sweet, that's nice. And I also have these notifications over here. This is similar to how Windows 8 looks like. Okay, but that's okay. This is a good feature. I like it. And you also have the option to go for settings, wherein you can change the widget theme. Wow, you have a lot of widget themes available, and you can also change the icon themes. Okay, I'm going to keep it as it is, and you can also change the cursor theme. Cool. Okay, not bad. You can also change the fonts. I guess this is applicable for in general. You can also change the settings in the panel. Cool, man. I didn't notice this. This is pretty interesting. And of course, I can open up my settings. I guess because of this reason, because of this settings, if I were to look for any settings options over here, they won't come. But if I just look system settings, this settings will launch up, wherein I can change my background if I want, background login screen. I have a language support similar to how other Linux distributions have it. I can go and set that, and we have this notification options wherein I can set up my set up which applications should have allow the notifications to happen, which should not. And you have a cloud synchronizing feature for multiple accounts. You have a privacy settings, regional language settings. You have a search option over here. And what else? You have the connections for you have the software to configure your hardware, like Bluetooth, and you also have the color settings, display settings. Although there is this option for this night light on and off, I'm not sure how well this works. Okay, at least they have this feature. I don't see many desktops with this feature. Okay, like if you're working in the night and if this feature is on, the screen automatically becomes little red shifted, so that the blue light from the screens won't affect your eyes much. This will be good for people who are working in staring at a screen for a very long time. You have a keyboard settings, and you can also set your own shortcuts. And what else do we have? Mouse and touchpad settings, network settings, power, and yes, you have a printer option too. You can add a printer, and with the new version of Ubuntu series, you have the driverless printer available, and that is pretty neat. You don't have to go and worry about printers as long as your printer is connected to your operating system. Your system via a USB cable or through the internet, through the common internet. It's local area network. It's perfectly fine. You have the option for sounds, a Wacom tablet, and you can also go and look at the date and times, some details, system details. And this is actually Ubuntu 17.04 with Ubuntu Budgie, and you can also set the default settings and remove media, what can be done over here, and sharing and universal access, and you can also create multiple users if you want. So these are the system settings available. And the thing is, you can also go to the system settings and change the appearance over here. Okay, these are pretty neat. I guess these are, if I notice properly, these settings are not available over there, but nevertheless it's appearing over here. And let's see, you have the Raven menu. I talked about that. You have consistent controls, and yeah, another thing I want to notice that the theming features are actually quite consistent, like the GTK applications. The GTK application, they all theme up pretty well. Like, what else should we open up? Let's open Rhythm Box. Okay, the theming for this Rhythm Box is pretty neat. And if I also open my files, the theming for here is also pretty neat. And if I open up my application like LibreOffice, which is actually written in Qt, if I remember right. Okay, about LibreOffice, is it written in Qt or GTK? Okay, okay, fine. So my mistake, is written in GTK. Nevertheless, what I'm trying to convey here is the theming is fairly consistent among all the programs, and it's also very consistent in the GTK applications as well. And Ubuntu Budgie gets a plus point for plus point for that, because the theming is pretty neat. And let's look at the memory. Let's type freem. As of now, it uses, like, because of the usage, it's using like 862 megabytes of RAM. not a light distribution like KD, not light distribution like XFCE. Okay, this is, I mean, this is like it's a medium weight distribution, not too heavy either. So this is pretty okay. And if you look at the system monitor, and they have their own version of system monitor, if I have a look at it, my RAM is, I mean, I'm just using this in a virtual machine, so the RAM is like almost full. I mean, but it's okay. The CPU processors are, I mean, it just peaked up a bit. I don't know. If I were to, I don't know. The moment I start up with the system monitor, the CPU usage starts creeping up. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm running this in a virtual box. Maybe. I don't see this problem in popping up in actual hardware. Nevertheless, that being said, let's also look at a few more features in the term. First, let me open this Terminix. Okay, and if I were to look at the kernel, it uses the latest kernel 4.10 kernel series. So if you have a new operating system or a new mission, this will be this will run smooth. This will run fairly smooth. And what else? Yeah, let's look at the disks lsblk. And if you notice this, there is no swap partition. That's because from this version of Ubuntu, the swap partitions will be removed, and instead you have a swap file present in your present in your slash folder. For instance, if I just go to my slash folder, you have this swap file. That will be a replacement for your swap partition, and this swap file will be either 2 gigabytes or 5% of the total hard disk size, whichever one is smaller. And what else? Other than this, it supports the driverless printing, and this desktop is pretty neat. And one in conclusion, to wind up, these are the things I noticed about this distribution and this desktop. They are running pretty stable, and Budige-Remix has been running in the past, and it has been considerably developing in the past. Now with Ubuntu supporting it officially, I guess this distribution will be getting better, considerably better. That's what we can optimistically hope for. And now it's when compared to the previous reviews of Budige-Remix, this has developed considerably, so there is a lot of improvement. And I guess hopefully I can say that the improvements and the developments and support from the other communities like Arch, Manjaro has enriched at least a little bit of how the Budgie desktop looks like and works under the hood. The aesthetics are pretty neat, and this distribution is worth giving it a try. And although not plenty of softwares are not installed by default, just have some basic ones installed. Because of it's connected synchronized with the Ubuntu repositories, you have a big plethora of softwares available. And since so as far as software is concerned, you don't have to worry about much. So with that being said, this is actually a tour of your Linux distribution, Ubuntu Budgie 17.04. That's all I have for you all in this video. Thank you for watching, and then I'll join you guys next time in another interesting video. Till then, take care.